What's good everyone, it's Tensei here, and today I'm going to be looking at the Speed Duel Tournament Pack 3 spoilers. Now unfortunately Konami does not do skill cards in the database, so we won't have an ability to look at those, and we don't know which rarities they will be, but we kinda know what the skills are anyway, for most part, so let's just look at the other cards we have here. So there's 5 Ultras, and I'm a little surprised at what they chose here, since these are mostly based on the Twisted Nightmares and Match of the Millennium starter decks. So I was kind of expecting them to choose Blackluster Soldier, Dark Necrofear, Lava Golem, and Thousand Eyes Restrict as maybe the most powerful boss monsters for those decks. But they really went another route here. So instead of Dark Necrofear, there's Dark Ruler Hades. And that's a good card. It can still be played in some kinds of decks, although it was the best when utilized with Inner Conflict, but with the update on Inner Conflict you no longer can use it for a tribute summon, so yeah, Dark Ruler Hades is fine, a little surprising, but definitely decent. Then Lava Golem, this is what I also predicted, the only one I actually predicted correctly. But it's a very good card, has been used in burn strategies, could maybe be used in side decks if we get decks that don't really require normal summons. Something like Moth used to kind of be, although now Lava Golem would conflict with the updated text on Cocoon. But a good card, iconic as well. Then Charging Gaia is definitely not what I would have expected as an Ultra. I actually thought it would have been a super rare, but it's a very popular card in beatdown decks, like TP Warrior, used to be in Inner Conflict decks, is used in Gaia decks, can be used technically in like some ritual decks as a level 7 tribute, that's also a normal summonable thing. It's a good card, a bit surprised it's an ultra rare though. And Toon Dark Magician is, well, it's probably the best Toon monster we have, but Toons are really bad, so I don't know, not really hyped over this, but it's not the worst pick. Really shame that we didn't get Thousand Eyes Restrict though, that's kind of what bums me most about the Toon Dark Magician. And then finally Allure of Darkness, not parts of, not as a 5th card with 4 decks only, and it's very popular. Good ultra rare, we'll probably just see even more play with Destiny Heroes and Cyber Darks. There's probably a lot of new dark monsters coming up anyway, so really nice to have a non-common print for it, although it might be a bit expensive. That's the ultras, and then let's look at the super rares. First we have Skull Servant, a fan favorite card really, from LOB, so it's really old, about 20 years old now. And the Skull Servant deck can actually be really shiny already with Haunted Shrines, Zombinas and Kings, so getting another super rare there, really nice. I very much like having a foil upgrade for this, and even for advanced format players, there's only one other foil print, and that's pretty expensive since it's kinda old and from a legendary collection. So even from that sense, good reprint. Then Queen's Knight. King's Knight is already a super rare, so this would kinda match it better, which I like, but also Poker Knights really suck unless they get some of their more recent support from TCG. Blackluster Soldier, I probably would have swapped this with Charging Gaia if I was making this set, but it's still it's not really played. The BLS or Magician of Black Chaos skill sucks. That's really a shame since I like both of these monsters, but hey, it's an iconic monster that makes sense as a super rare really, even if it sucks competitively. Toon World is kind of the same, Toons suck as I already said, but you have to play Toon World in a Toon deck right now for speed duels, so might as well make it shiny. And the next few cards are really great, I really like these reprints, maybe, well, not Itzaku as much, but the others, sure. So Offerings, a very popular card, is not always played as much, but it kind of goes on and off in favor. Yeah, it's been used in a variety of decks. It's just good removal. Like, yeah, it's a -1 technically, but also a delayed -1. So if you can capitalize on it immediately, it's just a 1-for-1 trade. And like perhaps you win that turn, and then the missing draw phase never comes back to hurt you. Very nice rarity upgrade. Windstorm of Attack is a nice trap, but I think it's a little outdated now, really. It's just outdated. It's not been played a lot in 2 years, but it's not the worst card, I suppose. Nightmare Wheel, popular burn card, a little less popular now since like Twisted Personality no longer gets counters from burning, but it's still like a decent win con for some stall decks, and it's okay. It's just pretty okay. Zone the Spirit, probably the best trap in speed duels, minus maybe like Union Scramble. That's really good, but only in one deck. I really like that we get a foil upgrade for this, since it's in a lot of decks and you get to make decks really pretty with it. Also, the commons kinda getting pricey, so just having more prints available is really nice in my opinion. And the final super rare is Waking the Dragon. Also, kind of like goes on and off in favor, since if people expect it, it's a lot worse, since people might not blind hit your back row as much. But especially if cards like Night Beam are popular, or like Breaker, you just sometimes get free wins triggering Waking, and it's nice to have it as a shinier print as well. King's Knight, it's like kind of expensive for a speed duel super rare, I guess, like a €3 or €4. So I don't know, I might just pick these up because they'll be super cheap with a common print. Really wouldn't pick them up otherwise. DD Crow came as an ultra rare before in the starter deck, so it was like easily available, but it's nice to have another print. Make sure it doesn't go up in price and keep the format really cheap for new players. Golden Ladybug, also like a burn card kinda. Maybe makes a little bit more sense to use it now with TP, since you want to lose your own life points, so making them higher with this makes a little more sense in the first place. Maybe if there's like some life gain support later, I could see this being a little more viable. Santa Claus, also a starter deck ultra, might be a little better if we get well, okay, we know we'll get Ojama King, and I really hate Ojama King, so I just want a lot of good, easily available outs for everyone. Zombina, very good card for like Rat Stall decks or Skull Servant decks, or it's just a very generic card. And yeah, it was only a super before, so making a more affordable common is really nice. And for people who still like the shiny, they can use the old one. It's fine. Parasite Paranoid, also it's the most expensive. Was the most expensive card, at least, if you don't count like tournament pack ultras that all had cheaper versions available. So getting that in common, really nice for people who want to play Moth on a budget. I just hope Moth won't be like a tier 1 deck for much longer. And yeah, then some Waking targets. Meteor Black kinda sucks, but it's fine. Ryu Senshi and Arcana Knight Joker are some of the better Waking targets though, and being foils in booster packs made them really expensive, especially Arcana Knight Joker as an ultra. So I really like this, they match well with the Waking reprint as well. Fusion Gates and old ultra from the first starter decks, and since we're getting a lot more fusion support, it's nice to have it more accessible here. Order Charge, a little outdated as well. I don't think people played a lot after Offerings was printed, but yeah, it's like decent. Maybe if you play like normal monster-centric decks, you can still play this over Offerings anyway. Advanced Ritual Art, only an ultra in starter decks. There's like at least Cyber Angels as new rituals, so yeah, it's fine to have more copies of that. Shard of Greed from the first starters, now common for the first time in speed duels, but it sucks, unfortunate. Bashing Shield, yeah, this is like, I've seen it in Gaia decks at least, to make the Gaia pierce for a little more, especially when combined with like Mage Power, you get some really big boosts and maybe even one hit kill. It's only a super, it's like a decent card, maybe a little little on the underwhelming side, but it's like okay. Dust Tornado is a common again. It was already common in the, I think, Match of the Millennium starter deck, but it's a decent card. Like Cosmic Cyclone is often better, but if you're playing a deck that loses life points like Volcanics, maybe you can't really afford playing Cosmic Cyclone, and since you're maybe playing like a slow value game anyway, you don't mind playing a slower card like Dust Tornado over Cosmic Cyclone, really. Haunted Shrine, kinda expensive as well, like for Speed Duel standards that is. And getting that as common is really nice, so now with like Haunted Shrine and Zombina as commons, you can probably make Rat Stall decks really cheap. And finally, the Golden Apples from the first starter decks. Really outdated. Well, I wouldn't say it was like ever amazing, but it's just super slow right now. You need to control no monsters for it, so it doesn't protect your field at all. And if you get hit by a big moth or XYZ dragon cannon, you might just die before hitting the activation condition for this anyway. Not great. But overall I really like this set. There's a few like strange choices for the rarities, but mostly they're fine. There's a few things like some people might be a little sad over their Haunted Shrines losing some value with common prints, same for some other foils like Arcane and Night Joker or Parasite Paranoid. But overall I think it's good to keep the game very affordable. Like it's crazy cheap, especially if you're used to some other games like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Advanced format as the most obvious example of something Speed Duel players might be familiar with. So you can go really expensive, like maybe you want to get Love Golems as ultra rares for the Rat Stall deck. But if you don't want to, just get the common from the starter deck, and that's relatively cheap. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's my thoughts really about this. It's a good set. Maybe would have been nice to see the skill rarities and stuff like that, but it is what it is. Maybe eventually we'll get the skills here in the database as well. But later today we should be getting the full spoilers for Duel Academy as well, so stay tuned for that. Only about 7 hours from when I'm recording this, so it's really hype now. Anyway, goodbye and see you guys later.